I hope they finally fix this Instagram thing one day where it can work. Found out we can get on TikTok too. I'm trying to figure that out. How to do it where we can live stream live on TikTok. That's going to be fire. I'll have that done by next season. But anyway, well, hello. Thank you for joining us today on Dad Mentality. It's your boy, the Beast One. We got a great episode today. Today, I got these beautiful ladies joining me today. We have our girl, the Blue Phoenix from the Morning Max Show. You can check her out Monday through Friday at 10:30 on the Morning Max Show with our girl, Althea McFarlane and Molly Moore. And then we also have one of my very, very favorite people to watch, who is Lady T. You can catch her on the Battle to the Glory podcast with also our friend Chef Dennis. And you can see her on Tuesday and Wednesday, where you can join them as they have great conversations with, well, I say 95% of the time, Lady T is right. But, it's a great show. You can definitely join in. And we're going to have a good time talking about building a safe place for women and building safe places in a relationship. Y'all know what it is. It's Dad Mentality.
What is Dad's mentality? What it is? The mentality of taking care of family. As a man, it get lonely. I can't even call my homies, but I answer every call when my kids call me. I be there when they need me. They depending on me. They looking up to me. Sometimes we gotta fix our mental. Or maybe it's not meant to be a dad, a father, that's what men do. I made a promise to my kids, that's what I do. I just want them to do things better than I do. Or better yet, better things that I did. What is Dad's mentality? What it is? The mentality of taking care of family. As a man, it get lonely. I can't even call my homies, but I answer every call when my kids call me. I be there when they need me. They depending on me. They looking up to me. Welcome to the show, shout out to the coach. And Maddie Ice, Ice Cold Crypto. And each one, teach one. That's mentality, we just try and reach one. What is that's mentality?
Hello. Welcome to Dad Mentality Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have a great episode for y'all. Been excited to do this. Last week we had Chef Dennis and also my boy LA Josh Preston join us as we talked about building a safe place for men. Now this week I brought in Lady T and the Blue Phoenix in here to talk about what it is to build a safe place for women. Also, as y'all can see, we are missing Coach. He will join us later on today and have a good time throughout the episode. But we're going to go ahead and get right into it. As you know, I don't do this by myself. Y'all would know this gentleman as the Diversified Hustler. You'll know him as the Ice Cream Man. You'll know him as Wealthy and Blessed. He is my boy, Matty Ice Cold Crypto. What's going on, Matty Ice? How you doing today, brother?
What's good? Doing good on this great Monday, man.
I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us again today, even though, you part of the show. But also, I knew when I wanted to do this episode that I definitely wanted to have these two ladies on the show. I was hoping my wife could make it this week also, but she was not able to make it. But this young lady, you can catch her Monday through Friday. She is a regular on the Morning Max Show. I always love when she joins us. Her personality, the things that she discussed and talks about, it always makes sense to me. So, I always love having her on there, even though Althea be off on the left somewhere when she be talking about what she going to talk about. But I know that this young lady always comes with the great energy, always comes with the great advice, great everything. She also hung out with me this weekend when we went to Silver Stream to see our man Funny Man Green on the show and had a good time. I know as Louisa, y'all know as the Blue Phoenix. How you doing, Phoenix? What you doing? How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm all right sometimes. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I be having my moments. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much. Thank you for considering me for this episode. I'm really, really honored to be here. Thank you so much.
I definitely appreciate it. Now, the other young lady that I'm going to introduce right now. Now, I've been trying to get her on for a while, but the first time she told me she was coming on and kind of flaked on me, but I still believe in forgiveness and love, and I understand that her schedule is busy. That's why I'm so excited that she was able to make it this week. This young lady, I met her from what was then called Who's Cooking with Chef Dennis. As y'all know, Chef Dennis is a regular here on the show, but his co-host Lady T is actually the real reason why I watched the show. So she always gave the great opinions, always kind of kept always tried to keep Chef Dennis in his right place whenever he go left, similar to what Louisa does for Althea. But this young lady always comes with the fire, the fury, lets you know what's going real. She tells you what's going to happen no matter if you want to hear it or not. And she is definitely my favorite. Lady T, what's going on, Lady T?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate you even thinking of me. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming and spending time with us, hanging out as we get into the good topics. But before we get into those topics, what's good? Chow Bow says hi to everybody. He's out in Myrtle Beach, but still took the time to come join us on the show. But we're going to get into this week's mental health check-in. Here at Dad Mentality, we definitely believe that mental health is important. You should definitely talk to somebody. If it's not us on this show, get your pastor, get your therapist, get somebody to talk about, because mental health is something that we need to definitely take care of and invest. And we're going to go ahead and start with this week. I'm going to let Matty Ice go first. Tell us how he feels from 0 to 10 and what's going on, what you looking forward to this week.
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm at I want to say a 7.5, 7, maybe close to an 8, but nothing really to complain about. Just want to get a day of rest, a little bit, but feeling good, man. Over the weekend, went out to a nice dinner for my niece for her 24th birthday. So we had a nice dinner out in Annapolis at a nice restaurant that I've never been to before. It was pretty cool. It's called Cop or something. I can't even remember, but it was nice, a little wine restaurant, chill with the fam. When the church on Sunday, was able to see my wife. She's been doing some graduation celebrations for a program that she's in at church, man, over at the City of Praise. It's a Intrepid Hope University that she went through. So she they had another ceremony for that, and also all the graduates from high school and anybody who graduated who goes to the church, they got to walk across the stage at the church, get a certificate and different things. So that was cool on Sunday. And just got another good week of work this week, man, so grinding. So overall, man, I'm feeling good. No complaints, man. Life is good. Family as well. So 7.5, 8 this week, man. Just, just continue to push, man. Look, it's going to be a hot week this week. I'm just grateful that I don't have to work outside, So I work inside in the air condition. So, sending some blessings and shout outs to anybody who got to work outside this week, man. So I'm grateful that I'm going to be inside.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and go. And right now, I was thinking about this last night, where I was and how I'm feeling. So I kind of feel like I'm at a good 9 right now. My score is actually pretty high. Work is work, and I kind of started trying to take work out of my consideration for my score, because work is going to be what it is. You know what I'm saying? And not, but being able to see my family, hang out with them, and do some things. I got to go to the Kendrick Lamar and SZA concert with my daughter. She's getting ready to go to Towson, and I'm really proud of where my kids are. You know, like even though we got this whole new war thing going on, my son is in the military in the Air Force. He's doing good. You know, he texted me, said he's going to send. He sent me something for Father's Day, and it didn't work out the way he wanted it to work out. Even though I think I might have to do some other things to get it to work out, but you know, he still sent me something for Father's Day, and then he sent me the other day. He sent me another gift that he's sending me because that one didn't work out, and I just really feel special that, you know, my son, even though he's hundreds and hundreds of miles away, he's still thinking about his father. He still calls me. He still talks to me. We do our own check-in, you know, and stuff like that to make sure everything's good. But I'm blessed. And then my youngest is growing. He's getting ready to get into middle school. So, you know, I'm excited about that. And, you know, he's an athlete who's doing great. What's good, Molly? Of course, yeah, Beta, I got you. But you know, I'm great on a lot of aspects. So, you know, my marriage is great. My lovely wife and I got to hang out, even though I never got my food at the restaurant that we went to, you know, at the comedy club. But I got to hang out with some very cool friends. I got to see my girl Gwen from the Gwen Factor, and Althea. I got to see Louisa. I got to see my man Funny Man Green. And we had a great time and just hung out. Even though I ordered food at 9 o'clock and still never got my food. It was 11:30, and I never got my food. You know, Louisa went up there and stole people food. That's how bad that's how bad the situation was. That's how bad the situation was to get food at this so-called restaurant, comedy club, whatever. And maybe I'm just used to Gwen events, because Gwen events be running smooth. This joint was a little rough on the edges. You know what I'm saying? But we, you know, it was still good to hang out with that. And then to see my friends and to have my friends. And then a lot of people give me a lot of respect that I don't really feel that I guess I deserve. I don't know. Maybe that's it. You know, but people do appreciate my show. People appreciate me as a person, things like that. And life is good, man. Life is good. And I'm also on this other venture where I'm ready to start living life for life and not for work. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something I'm working on myself and this, that, and other. So yeah, I think I'm about a 9. So we go ahead and go to Lady T and see how you feeling from 0 to 10 and what you feel with anything you got going on this week, the last week, or this week that you're happy that you want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. You know, I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, I'm on a 9 too. I would honestly say I'm probably 9.5. I'm really close to 10 just because I've come to an acceptance of things that I cannot change. So much has happened. But also, I had a great weekend. I was at the beach. I got beach and water, ocean all on my hair and my eyes and everything. And it was great. I enjoyed the company. I had a great time. It was just like a kid again. My innocence came out. You know, it was me being a child and childlike ways of playing in the water and having fun laughs. It was great. And, you know, to come back to work today was like, you know, another work day, but I'm happy that today I have this attitude. Like, I can only accept everything that it is. I can't do anything but to accept it as it is and make the best out of it. You know, make the best out of all the situations I got to go through in this workplace. You know, even when talking to people, you know, I have to talk to people all day long, and it starts from the beginning of the morning till the evening time. And it's just, you know, frustrating to have to communicate so much, but I'm putting a smile on my face because you know what? They might have had a bad day too. And I'm trying my best to communicate in a loving way that is not, you know, pushing another person away or making their day worse. So I'm doing my part to just, you know, have that blissfulness, and I have it. It feels so good. And I think it was probably the ocean and the sun. When you have time. Yeah, it feels so good.
Yeah, I need to get to the beach or the pool myself this summer.
Yeah, it's something different about the ocean. The ocean will really change your mind. You know, you can't. it's like it's hard to be sad in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? It definitely is. Because it's some, you see that great God's creation, that giant just will mesmerize you. But
Yeah.
what about you, Phoenix? Where you at from 0 to 10, and what you got looking for? What you
I
looking
am an
for?
8. The reason why I'm an 8 is because I need to have a conversation with my daughter. I need to apologize to her.
Uh-oh.
So, well, I am one of the people who observe myself very much. So if I feel like I'm wrong, and they may not feel like I'm wrong, but if I feel like I'm wrong, I'll go apologize. So I'm waiting for her to get back home so I can apologize to how the conversation started. I didn't start the conversation in a good way. I didn't come at her wrong, but the way that I started the conversation could have been started better. So once I apologize to her and we have a different conversation, I'll be a 10. That's the only reason. Outside of that, I'm good, always good, no matter what happens around me, no matter what anybody does or says to me or what I do and say that may not be good, it's good. So, oh, I thought you left. Here she go. And then as far as the beach or nature, anything in nature will make the greatness in you because it's a refill. You get in touch with the electricity of the earth, which is what we're a part of, and you get refilled. So I know you feel good because I can see it. It's like a glow. So I'm waiting to go to the beach too. The kids waiting. I'm taking them to the pool tomorrow, but I definitely want to go get in some sand and some water.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I'm glad everybody's doing good. Everything's definitely good, good, better, looking forward. Anything you looking forward to this week, Phoenix?
What'd you say?
I said, is there anything you looking forward to?
No, just being able to move, being able to do it. I don't have anything that we're doing this week, but hey, anything can happen any day. I'm always somewhere, so hey.
Okay. All right. So let's get ready to get into this topic today. I do want to recap a little bit about last week when we talked about creating a safe place for men and creating a safe place for yourself as a man. I feel that, and this is the reason why, because I feel that there's a lot of misconception between men and women on what for us men. I feel like there's a huge misconception on what women feel or deem as a safe place. And I definitely feel that for women is a huge misconception to y'all about what we feel as men as what is a safe place and creating that safe place. This conversation between me and my wife, we probably started, it's and I do also believe that it's fairly new to our culture. Even the conversation of mental health and the conversation of creating a safe space for yourself and being in charge of these things. A lot of people in our culture, we've been told, like for women, I'm just gonna and please correct me at any time if you feel I'm not saying something that you feel is true. But like for Black women in our culture, they've been told you got to be a strong Black woman. You know what I'm saying? All your life, you got to be strong. You got to be independent. You got to be this. You got to be that. And then I'm looking at it like, well, why? Why is it always that you have to be strong? Why can't you be soft? Why can't you be gentle? Why is the world conditioning you for like everything that you're going to meet is going to be, up to like a fight? And the same thing for men is told, you can't cry. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't be vulnerable. And my thing is, if we can't be vulnerable or soft with each other, then who can we be it with? So, exactly. So, that, and I just feel like for us in our culture, so we talked about us men, we talked about last week, what safe space for us is. We created things. Coach said that he goes on his bike ride. It's a place where he clears his head, this, that, and the other. Matty Ice, what was your safe place?
Oh, I say sometimes with myself, but it's like going on a walk, man. You know what I mean? Just getting my mind reset. You know what I mean? So going on a walk, and my home is a safe place too, man. You know what I mean? I'm fortunate to be able to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, you know, the podcast is my safe place. You know, I control what's going on here, this, that, and other. I go on other podcasts and make them unsafe. You know what I'm saying? But nah, that's just a joke for all my people in the Morning Max show. But anyway, we're gonna get into it. So I'm just curious. I'll go ahead and start with Lady T and tell me, you know, is mental health. Do you feel mental health is new to Black women? And B, what is your safe place and how do you create it? So,
I don't think that mental health is new to Black women. Probably, if anything, it's been open conversations about it. Most of the time in the past, Black women spoke in a way of a code. You know, we know the code when we're talking certain way and we know what we're saying, but now it's become more open, you know, where we're actually having a conversation about, you know, the acceptance of it. We all culturally are accepting of the fact that we need some type of, you know, mental health, because we hear about the strong Black woman, you know, way, but every woman is vulnerable. You know, there's vulnerabilities that we have to address and we have to nurture. And in order to do that, you have to be honest. You have to communicate it. You have to speak your truth and let out whatever it is that's on the inside. And so I think, you know, the culture for Black women is changing where, I mean, honestly, this is my personal opinion, but I remember in the past that Black women were more tight-knit than they are now. I think they are now more materialistically and not spiritually and united as Black women used to be in the past, because I grew up under a lot of Black women united together and they took care of family, and it was a community. You know, even if it was family, it was still a community with your neighbors and things like that. We don't really have that anymore. And so, you know, we're addressing it in a separate way, but we're still, you know, wanting to connect. And I think it's possible for a Black community cultural to get women to get back in together and unite the way we used to. But for me, I think a safe space is, you know, something for me, it's always going to be home. For me, you know, I create a safe space at home because home is where the heart is. You know, if you are loving your home, if you love your life, if you love, like, you know, everything around you, you will take care of your home. You will take care of yourself. You will take care of your family. And so home is my safe space, but it has to have everything I need. You know what I mean? I have to feel respected in my home. I have to feel supported in my home. I have to feel free to be myself, free to just be in, you know, my place that I can be me. And if I don't have that, then home is not it. Then I'll go somewhere else. You know, it's normally for me, I enjoy the things of, you know, creative. You know, if I want to sing, if I want to dance, if I want to, you know, be around people, that is where my heart is, because my heart is open to enjoying the freedom of blissfulness and happiness. I want to, you know, give it to other people and I want to have it for myself. So that's where, you know, the safe space is, when I'm vulnerable and letting all those blissfulness and not feeling like, you know, I'm invalidated or I'm criticized, you know, those type of, it's also setting boundaries, you know, that, so it's so much in it, but I feel like home is where my heart is and I feel safe, but there's also things that I do outside that makes me happy as well. And it gives me blissfulness. It makes me feel like it's my safe space as well. Did I answer your questions, all of them?
Yeah, it did. And of course, Chef Dennis joins in and says that you can be you can be that way anywhere. And there he goes. And you cannot be free anywhere. Let's make sure we get that all straight too. See, Chef Dennis already jumping in with the wrong advice again. But anyway, we're gonna get to you.
He's not 100% wrong though. He's not 100% wrong.
Oh, you can be. Don't mean it's going to be accepted or it is a safe place. Yeah. I mean, you can try, but doesn't mean it's going to be. Doesn't make it a safe place. Anywhere is not a safe place. I don't care what you say. But Phoenix, going to you. What do you have to say about what is your
Okay.
safe place, and what do you think about mental health? Is it new to Black women, or is it something that maybe y'all been doing and we just wasn't privy to as men? Tell us how you feel about that.
Well, I agree with Lady T, and I want to add on to what she was saying about mental health. There was no definition, but Black women have always been each other's vent place. We have always been that space where we can have a conversation. Girl, let me tell you. That's how you know we about to have a whole session, but it has always been that way for us. Now, have we always understood each other? No, we may not, but we have always been that space for each other. So no, mental health or mental health awareness is not new. The title of it is, though. And so men really did not, well, the barbershop would have been something similar to what we do, because you guys can go in there and you can be free, you can speak on it. So that would be kind of close to what women do. But we get together, we can just, hey, I'm about to come over your house. And that's the time, oh, shoot, we need to have a talk. So we, like Lady T said, we have a code. We have certain things that we say, certain things that we do when we need each other as far as mental health. Now, I don't know if safe space has been defined. So do you mind if I read the definition of safe space for those who do not know what a safe space is? So on the Google, on Google, a safe space in the psychological context is a physical or virtual environment where individuals feel secure enough to express themselves, their opinions, and their identities without fear of judgment, criticism, or harm. It's a place where people can be vulnerable, share their thoughts and feelings, and take interpersonal risks without the expectation of negative consequences. So going off that definition, go ahead, because I already know what you got. Go ahead. Going off that definition, a safe space for me is, of course, home, but this is what I create here. So because I create this space here for my children, of course, I'm going to make sure I have that space for me. I also have a safe space within my friendships, within my relationship, and within wherever I go. So a lot of the safety has to start within you. And because it starts within you, it's wherever. So that's why I said he's not necessarily 100% wrong, but like y'all say, you can't do that everywhere, But you have to be able to create that space. So for me, it's home, friends, family, some family, not all, because some of them be tripping, and in my relationship. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Mattias, did you have anything you want to add or ask or say anything about what they just said?
No, not really. I think they explained it well. You know what I mean? It definitely makes sense what they saying, and I do agree that it starts with you. You know what I mean? Like happiness starts with you. You know what I mean? If you're looking for happiness outside of yourself, sometimes you're going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? So you got to create that happiness and safe space within first, and then you can use that, to create those safe surroundings for you. But you got to already know what your happiness is to even be able to create it.
All right, so I just want to go back on something real quick, and that would be the strong Black woman narrative, I got two questions, but I'm gonna start with that one first. The strong Black woman narrative. Do you feel that is still being pushed today, or that was something that was in the past, or do you feel that is still? Like I said, how about this? Is that what you're preaching to your daughters? Oh, that's the better question. Is that what you're preaching to your daughters? What are you preaching to your daughters? Since both of you young ladies do have daughters and are two very intelligent Black women to me. I'm not going to just say strong, but intelligent. What are you preaching to your daughters? I'm curious. Lady T.
Okay. I teach them about self-respect for themselves. It's all about, taking care of themselves, nurturing themselves, having a mind to, I'm going to say, look at it as be respectful to your life, honor your life, and also the same for others. I've always done that through when they were young in different ways growing up as they were growing up. My daughters are out of the house. I don't have any children, I only had 2 daughters. So, me telling them how to be as women, I think they've done very well. But I also think that when you ask the question, is it still present today? It's so funny because I question what is going on with the Black woman today. Like, what's really going on? Because something ain't right. I don't really see the strong Black woman archetype that much. This is my personal opinion. I see the Black woman as fading a little bit in the background. The reason why is because they've gotten either too materialistic and got into the world way, or they've kind of, diminished themselves and not said anything. But it's different ways that a Black woman has become in nowadays, from my personal opinion. But I feel like the strong Black woman, there's nothing wrong with being a strong Black woman, but I think we need to change that and say how the strong Black woman should be vulnerable and have emotional openness to, communicate and have the expression to say, this is how I feel and this is what I have to be about to show the world that this is okay and I can rise above it no matter what the situation is. And that, I think, is not talking about strong Black women, but portraying it through the action and behaviors in the everyday life. We have challenges in this world where we go through day to day, and we have different people that we come in contact with. And how do we deal with our situations? How do we communicate with people? How do we handle it? That's what makes us strong. If we are allowing ourselves to feel like, they're talking bad about me, but that's okay. I'm going to deal with this in the best way. I'm going to say it in a polite way. I'm going to say it respectfully. They're not going to get under my skin and make me curse them out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very kind. The way that we communicate with one another should be as if we are strong and not weak. We don't have to say we're strong Black women. We can show it in our behavior. So that's what I would like to see. But I do think that the Black woman nowadays has they've been going backwards. When I say backwards, it's like we're getting quiet. When I say we're getting quiet, that could possibly mean we're quiet right now just so we can renew ourselves and come back on the scene like, bam, look at me, without even saying anything about a strong Black woman, just being a bold woman and, being courageous and being loving and being compassionate and showing the world that this Black woman right here and all the other ones out there, we have our ancestors in the past that made us to where we are right now for us to rise up and show you how it's really supposed to be done. We don't have to do anything else but show you how it's supposed to be done. Show and prove. Nothing else. Show and prove. Not talk about saying, oh, I'm this and I'm that. Show and prove. That's how I see it. I want that for us, I guess.
I got you. Okay. All right. Phoenix.
Passion.
Yeah. What do you got to say?
So the title Strong Black Woman carries a burden. When you put strong in front of anything, that means there's no weakness. There's no place of vulnerability. So first of all, that strong part has to come off. If you want to be looked at as someone who can be held, you want to be looked at as someone who sometimes needs the craft, you want to be looked at as somebody who is not too big to be coddled or whatever, you have to drop that strong. So just like Superwoman, it's the same thing. When you call somebody a strong Black woman, you're kind of calling her Superwoman, which is indestructible. We're not indestructible. And it's not fair to say that. And it goes the same with, I compare men and women a lot because we're very similar, though it may not seem that way. Emotionally, spiritually, we are very similar. If a man can't be looked at as someone who has vulnerabilities, but he does, the strong Black woman is looked at the same way. So we have to drop that because we are vulnerable. And I don't want to be called vulnerable. And I damn sure don't want to keep hearing the word resilient. Resilience is when things keep happening, you keep standing up, keep getting up. Fuck that, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not, though I have constantly gotten up from things and I have survived things, and I'm no longer in that space. I am thriving. Therefore, I'm a virtuous woman where I can cry and still beat your ass if I need to. You know what I'm saying? I can be here. You can lay your head on my bosom if you need to, and then we can get it on later on. Like, I'm all of these things that you need from me, but I also need those things in return. So I'm not a strong Black woman. I'm a woman who is Black, and I'm vulnerable, and I'm virtuous, and I'm here. So we need to drop that strong Black woman. And I wanted to respond to what Lady T said about the Black woman. It's not that they're not here. We're not shown. So only exposure that Black women have is the ratchet, money grabbing, you can't pay my bills, you can't get no booty type of woman. But that is in every culture. That is what is being exposed.
Right.
That's what they're showing, women as gold diggers. But us, the type of women that you have on this panel, the type of women that we know are out here, our girlfriends, our family members, our daughters that we are raising, because I do not play that with my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're here. We're just not shown, because if the true nature of us is shown, it will shut down all this BS, all this gold digging mess, all this BBL, all these surgeries. If they shown what real women look like and how real women carry themselves, it will shut down the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. So we're out here, we're here, and we're not quiet. We just not put out there like the ratchetness.
Not put in the forefront.
Yeah, we're not, but we damn what you hear.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the things that we talk about on this show as men, that, you know, like all these fathers that ain't dead, like we don't know. Like we don't know them. Like, and I was talking to somebody, I was like, yeah, if some dude came to me today talking about, oh, nah, I don't take care of my kids or something like that, he not getting no honor badge from me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna hang out with somebody. I think I watched a clip this week. Was it Noriega or one? I think it was David Banner. David Banner said that I'm not doing business with someone who's cheating on his wife. He was like, if the person you sleep with can't trust you, I know I can't trust you. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, but you know, those things, all this stuff that's being portrayed out here, even is for Black women and for men, is not the truth. You know what I'm saying? They're highlighting the worst of the bunch, in my opinion. Yeah, and making it and putting out the platform like it's everybody. Like everybody's out here twerking. Everybody's out here saying, if you don't take me to Ruth Chris, then I'm not going out with you on a first date, type situation.
Yeah, that's definitely what's being portrayed. Yeah, now I said, because I was going to ask that question though, like, you know what I mean, when they were speaking about the representation and how you need to show it, like how do you think it can be shown? Because early on, you had the matriarch of the family, the big mamas, the grandmothers, but times have changed. So sometimes grandmothers are younger, so they still out partying, doing their thing. So like that structure has changed, so it seems like everybody, to celebrate, they get on the video and twerk, like and then even with music, you had Lauryn Hills, you had different types of representation, but now, the main stars are, the Nicki Minaj, Cardi B's, the Gorillas, and those types, that our young girls are following and portraying, so how do we get more, I don't want to use the word strong, but women like you who, are doing the right things, like how do we get that picture out there? That's not what they want to show, and we gotta get more of our young girls who necessarily don't have maybe a strong, like a mom in the home or that representation around them to see women like yourselves, you know what I mean, to have something more positive to follow, because that's all they, see. So they think that's what they supposed to do, you know what I mean? And
That's so true. Real quick, Maddie, when you said something about Lauren, my daughter, my 15-year-old is actually listening to Lauren Hill right now. It's so crazy.
oh
But
yeah,
Love Lauren.
I love me some Laurel Hill.
Yeah.
We do what our grandmothers used to do. We become everybody's parent. No, it's not your responsibility to care for all the children, but when you come across children, you parent them, you care for them, you take care of them, you speak life into them. I have had so many children come through my house, my daughter's friends, my family's children, just neighbors. I'm one of them neighbors. I want to know who you are, and I want to know your children. Because if I see something, I'm going to tell you. Or if I'm able to protect them, I'm going to do that. We have to take that position. No, it's not, everybody can't be Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King and all of that stuff, but we are, in a way, that type of person. It is our responsibilities to care for other people if we understand our connection to each other. We're connected. So the same way that everything got off course and all the craziness is happening, it's the same way it can get back in course, but it starts with you. Everything starts with us individually. Anybody you speak to, you go speak to somebody positive, that will transfer to somebody else. It's the butterfly effect. Anything that you do will transfer. A teeny little wing, a little wingspan, a little wave can go miles and miles away just from one little thing. So it starts with one little thing and everything will grow. A seed, a tree is grown from a seed. You see how big these trees are. Our food are grown from seeds. We eat that. It's continual. So anything that we do, we want to see change. We have to make the change. We may not see it fully reversed on our, while we're here, but it will. If you make it a conscious effort to do those things. You pour into your children, just like Lady T said, she poured into her daughters. And she really is proud of how her daughters are going. But see, she had to sow that seed. I pour into my daughters and my sons. The same way I tell my daughters they're precious, I tell my sons the same way. Everybody has no access to you. Everybody doesn't need access to you. You have to protect yourself just like the girls. Boys are precious just like girls are precious. I teach my children the same way. They're not allowed to go out there and be crazy just because you're a boy. Same way I teach my daughters. So the things that I teach my children, they go and they share with their friends because one, they're going to keep hearing it from me. Eventually, they're going to share it. It's the same way. Any of their friends that come around, I pour that life into them. Life grows. So you pour life into people and it will change. Also, twerking did not start as ratchetness. That's another thing.
Yep.
Twerking was a healing dance in Africa.
Yes,
that
it
was a
was.
healing dance. So if we take it back to the healing, it will reverse. Now, when they twerking, you don't realize that they are healing the root chakra of themselves. They don't realize that because the root chakra is also the sexual part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all our organs, our female reproductive system and all that. So we are supposed to twerk in a circle, a healing circle, or in your own home. It's not for everybody to see because it's supposed to be sacred.
Yep.
So all the things that are good for us are being changed. So we need to go back to the things that are good and things will change.
All right. Lady T, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I love it. Phoenix, you said it all, girl. But okay, I'll add to it. I think that
Add to it, girl.
I think that we need to also, teach our children how it is to be with grace and dignity and respectability. There's a behavior we need to show our children when they're young, how to conduct themselves in more of a good manners, courteous. We don't do that often, but that is like, where we need to really, take our children and show them that it's about, more of a self-respect and respect for others, but also as a kindness, the confidence without the arrogance. We need to say the strength with the softness. There's a way how we can teach our children to be this way and still be loving and still be corrective. And we have to do that more often, because that's what I feel like we are missing. We're too firm and stern with our children, and we tell them, do this, and do that, and don't you do that. And we don't have no love, and we don't have no compassion, we don't have no kindness behind it. And we need that. That's how we grow. We grow and nurture through love. And if you don't give that in your words and your actions to your children at a young age and show them how it is to be, when I say grace, I mean, it's like giving people the grace of being who they are, human. We all make mistakes. We do things that we're not supposed to. We have to say, I forgive you. You made a mistake. I'm going to still love you. I'm not going to be mad at you and criticize you, put you down. So there's a way in the behavior we have to learn as women. I'm going to say women and Black women too, just because of the fact that we are too strong sometimes, that we correct and not give love and not show love to our children at a young age. Because once they have it at a young age, they're going to continue to grow into it and become like a flower. They blossom. It really helps to have our children be taught the right way of learning how, modesty. I'll say modesty, a modest way of living where you're not being extra with your body. You're not being extra with your words. You do not have to put people down and criticize them. You do not have to talk behind their back and talk bad about them. There's a way that we could do it. And we're not doing that. We're doing it in a wrong direction, which is getting our children really confused and not knowing how they should be in this world, and to help themselves and to help their social environment. So I just wanted to add that a little bit.
Absolutely. Y'all ladies got the comments on fire. Everybody's saying, they say we definitely need more Phoenix and Lady T days. I hear you.
Real quick, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It starts with our children, because of course you can get them young. Like Lady T said, it is important to teach grace and not have expectations of people. I like the fact that you said that we accept people for who they are. That's hard for a lot of people to do, because you have an expectation of how people are supposed to be, or you think that's how they're supposed to be. But when you drop expectations of people and actually see people, you'll realize, well, I can't fool with them, but, or I see what they're trying to do, so either I'm going to stay in this space here with you and try to help you or be there for you, or I'm going to just go this way. So when you drop that expectation, or them rose-colored glasses, because that's usually what it is, you really can, it's better for you, because you're the only one with the expectations. They don't know it. They don't know that. You ain't doing nothing but hurt yourself. You hurt yourself. And also, we teach our children, but we also need to start teaching the women. It's our responsibility to get on each other. We don't do that because, sometimes, who you talking to? You, baby. Come here. Let me hug you. And it's not always going to go that way. But there is always a way to speak to somebody, since we talk about women, there's always a way to touch a woman and they don't feel like you're coming against them. Because all criticism is not bad criticism.
Right.
You have to have an observing eye and know how to look at people and know how to touch them. That is very key when it comes to women, because we can be very testy. We can have attitudes. We think nobody can tell us stuff sometimes, but it is our job as women to correct other women, to correct girls, to correct ourselves. Just like I said, I owe my daughter an apology, though the whole conversation, I wasn't wrong, but my approach was wrong. I feel it was, we got to self-observe. We got to hold that mirror up, because if we don't check ourselves, what happens? It turns out like it is now. Everything you see is coming from not being checked, not checking ourselves and not allowing other women to check us properly, not in a disrespectful way, not to embarrass you. So we still have to correct and drop seeds into other women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to add to what you just said. Everything was great. Then somebody said on the comment about discernment, and the discernment is very true, because you will choose your battles wisely. You will pay attention to the reaction of insult or temptation or distraction, you will pay attention to it. And discernment is very important. And we need to teach our women to pay attention. Just have that thought in your mind. Don't let it come out your mouth real quick. Just hold on to it for a moment and just think about it before you even react. And that's discernment.
That pause is very important.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get ready to get in. I got to go back into the creating a safe place for yourself. What do you feel that the people or everything, the world is putting out there that is making it dangerous for us to create a safe place? Like, what is the biggest danger you think that's out there for women and creating the self place, creating the mental health place, and how do you protect it? How do you protect your safe place from those dangers? I'll go with it. I'll let Phoenix go first. I always pick on Lady T first. I'll let Phoenix go first this time and tell us how you feel.
I've been thinking about that question since I saw it earlier. The dangers, we are the dangers. Point blank. We're the reason why it's dangerous. It doesn't matter who's around. So you can't really point blame or put blame on other people when it comes to your atmosphere. Mm-hmm. You have control of that atmosphere. You have control of that space. So if you feel that your safety or your peace or your, that place is not safe or dangerous, you have to fix it. Now, out here in this world, it's nothing I can do about what these fools out here doing. Nothing I can do. Because one, I have no control of anybody but me. So there's no danger, you know what I'm saying? Like Molly said, cyberbullying, men really attack women online. All that stuff you have control of because you can cut it off.
Right.
You absolutely can.
You can cut it off. And I know he's trying to be funny, but
I know he is.
All these things outside of you can be walked away from unless somebody touch you, Somebody can say what they want to say. As long as they put your hands on you, you're good. So the only thing that I can say when it comes to a safe space that is causing danger is you. Why you don't have peace? Because you don't have peace. Why I'm not happy? Because you're not happy. All these things you have control over. All these things start with you. Now, if you are a problem and you causing issues in other people's safe places, it's you again. You know what I'm saying? So it's all with you.
Absolutely. Hey, that was a great answer. I wasn't expecting that answer at all. I'll be honest with you.
I really was thinking about that because I'm like, well, I don't know. But then I'm like, everything starts with me. It starts with me. So,
yeah.
Lady T?
And it's so funny because it was like, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It does. But also you as a person, knowing that it starts with you, you also have to set the boundaries and enforce them. You need to make sure that you are being assertive with your boundaries and just, keeping that respect for your boundaries in all situations. You will know, but you have to be in your mind. You have to tell yourself, I'm worth it. I'm worth it that this situation will not look like this because I set this boundary. Phoenix, you were saying exactly how I felt. Like everybody has to take accountability for themselves. You are creating the world that you want. And so if your safe space is not there, choose you. Choose you and say, I'm not going to be in this situation no more. Cut it off and then change it up so that you can be protected and your boundaries are respected and you will not allow anything else. And if it even tries to, then guess what? You might need to go into a spiritual mode because you need some help and protection. But you will need to say, I decide me. And when you decide yourself, then things start changing. Things start turning into the way that you really want it to be once you say, I'm worth it and I will not allow anything else to interfere. So I agree with you, Phoenix.
Hey,
all that starts with the love. All that starts with Lady T is talking about. You have to love yourself. Because you're not going to think you're worth anything. Healing, time, patience, a brand new outfit, anything. If you don't see, no, I'm serious. Because we put on a new outfit, we feel good, right? We go wash our hair and blow dry our hair. We had time to do. We feel good.
Feel good.
Y'all go to the barber shop. Y'all feeling good, but you're not going to feel like You're worthy enough of that if you don't love yourself. So that's important too. That's how you get to where Lady T said. You don't put boundaries up if you don't love yourself. You let anybody walk all over you, including yourself, because we are our biggest problem.
Yeah.
So if you don't set boundaries within yourself too, it's like Lady T said, you might well not. I mean, what? You have to love yourself, and in order for you to get any of these things, you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
It goes with my new statement that if you don't change something, then you're actually choosing it now. You know what I'm saying? If something's not going right, you don't like what's going on, you don't like your job, and you don't change it, then you're actually choosing that job now. Now you've made that whole thing. Matt S., did you have anything you wanted to ask or add or?
No, I agree, because that goes for men and women. You know what I mean? When it comes to having that happiness within yourself instead of looking outside to other people to help create the happiness. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be disappointed if you're looking for somebody else to create your happiness. Of course, we got our loved ones and different things and different people like that who we definitely do. But beyond that, you still have to be comfortable with yourself to know how to create it. And then again, like, I don't know, we was having a conversation with Chef a couple of weeks ago. Like, you have a choice, you know what I mean, about the way you want to feel about different things, whether or not you choose to be angry about a situation or how you want to respond to different situations when they occur, and they could be jeopardizing your safe space or how you're feeling. You know what I mean? You can choose whether or not, man, I'm not even going to trip off of that. I'm going to let it go. Or you could choose violence and be like, nah, I'm about to go in with this person. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? We got to, most of the times, check ourselves for real. You know what I mean? If you check yourself, like 9 times out of 10, you could be okay. But sometimes, you know, we got these emotional responses because we may have, you know, things in our past that cause us to respond or react. Well, I ain't gonna say to react, you know what I mean, in a certain way. And then sometimes after the fact, you're like, dang, why I let that get me out of my place? You know what I mean? Why did I let that do that to me? So I think, like you said, that moment, sometimes you got to take a moment before you respond and think about what you're saying. How, like, do I really want to go there with that? You know what I mean? Because sometimes it make you feel worse. You're like, man, dang, I ain't even have to let it go there. You know what I mean? So sometimes that moment is definitely so, man, take that self-evaluation first, man. If we do that, man, I think a lot of people will be a lot better, because sometimes I think people blame other people for the things that they do. Like, oh, you made me do that. No, nobody technically can't make you do nothing. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but you had a choice. You know what I mean? You didn't have to respond like that.
That's true.
There's always, what I was saying, that there's always that split second that you decide. There's never a time that you don't have that split second where you decide. And a lot of times we speak it into existence way before it happens. We'll say, you know, hey, they get smart with me again, I'm gonna slap the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? If that, you know what, if that boss send me another email about this, I'm going to tell them off. You know what I'm saying? If that person does that, you know, and we speak it into existence before it even happens, and then we've already made that decision. A lot of people don't realize that you're doing that. I mean, right before you get ready to slap the shit out of somebody, you actually go, I'm gonna slap the shit out of them. You do it, you know what I'm saying? Right before it every time. So it is. And then you can't blame me. You say, oh man, you made me have to do that. No, you didn't. No, you decided to do it, you know? So it is always something that I bring up and definitely talk to my kids about, is like, you got to take that, like LA Josh Preston say, you know, I'm working on making sure I give myself 3 business days before I make a decision. Before I make a decision like that could put me in jail or something like that. Because a lot of times you realize that it is not even worth it. So shout out to LA Josh Preston on the 3 business days, because I've definitely been saying that recently, ever since that week podcast. give me 3 business days. I'm gonna keep it
But
together. But anyway,
that's a good thing. I'm glad y'all brought it up because I actually was going to mention that. I tell my children all the time, take 3 seconds or pause 3 times. They said, now I can't remember who the study was, but they actually said for your brain, between the trigger and the action, it takes 3 seconds before you can fully register. If you don't allow that registration time, you're going straight to action. So I tell my kids, pause for a second and think, is it worth it? Was I wrong? Did I hear what this person said? Were they saying it in that way?
Exactly.
And how did I receive it? Because a lot of times, like you were saying, Maddie, sometimes, again, we heard or something like that. It's not always what someone says. It could be what we went through. Sometimes it's just one word that you heard from what happened that'll trigger you. And triggers it's nothing wrong with triggers. Everybody think it's wrong, but it's not. Triggers are there to let you know that there's something that you have to heal from, that you still have work to do. Triggers are a good thing. Though they may have a bad response, they are a good thing because it lets you know that there's still pain there. It's a representation of pain.
It's awareness, though.
It hurts. It sends you off, but a lot of time anger, the base or the foundation of anger is pain. The foundation of fear is usually some type of pain or something somebody said to make you think before, So a lot of times those triggers are just something that's saying, hey, I'm still here. You got to deal with me. I'm not done. I dealt with that. No, you dealt with the top part of that. But something somebody said and you heard that person's voice when they said it. You didn't hear who told you that. You heard the other person's voice. So that's all it is with the triggers. That's why it's important to pause. And I like the 3 business days thing. That's really cool because I really do think about that and think before I act. Because one thing I tell people all the time why I have not been to jail, because I think first. People try you. People do try you. And the initial thing that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, mine used to be fight. You know what I'm saying? Because I was the protector in my family. I was the protector, and I had to protect, and I used to protect with these fists. So I can come from that point and say pausing is very important.
And I wish you had fought for my food the other night because I was hungry.
I told you.
He said you went up there and stole some food. Rubbed
some
food off, so I don't know.
I went to the bar and I stood there and waited patiently and I put my order in and I said, I'm gonna be sitting right over there. So when I saw her come out with 2 plates of fries and she was looking around, I waved because apparently
you pressed the bartender out like, hey.
No, I was very patient.
That was my fries right there.
Yeah, them my fries. Them my fries.
Did I not offer to share? I tried to share. Y'all didn't want that.
I wanted my food. I didn't want your food. I want mine. I was like, I ordered mine an hour and a half before you got your fries. But anyway, let's get back on topic. Lady T, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
It was you were talking about the trigger. I have my chef, he loves to trigger words. He loves those words. There's certain words that he says that's trigger for me, right? And I was thinking about it. It's more of an emotional response for me. It probably has a lot of anger because I've dealt with a lot of past communication, but it was misunderstanding. So my voice has really been, I've been talking more. And I have to speak my truth, right? Because so much misunderstanding of what I believe and what I accept needs to be addressed. So when I hear certain trigger words, now it's like the emotion, it's not pain. It's an emotion of anger, probably because of the misunderstanding and the lack of knowledge of the truth. And that has basically kind of halted our understanding to real growth. And so I get upset and I say things and I will respond passionately. When I speak, I'm very passionate, I've been told. I don't want to be passionate. I don't want to look a certain way, but this is it. But I feel like when I'm had those trigger words, it's me being able to express my truth when I hear misunderstandings, because people misunderstand a whole lot. They do not understand many things. They have lack of knowledge of many things and think they read the Bible and will tell you that that is the truth and that is it. And that is not it. You know, that is not it. So I agree. Trigger words are good for us. I like my trigger words because it's allowing me to express myself, freely, and express myself with honesty and, my authentic self. My heart is being open and I can say the things that need to be said, because when I say it, it's in my mind, it's misunderstanding because you didn't understand me because I didn't speak about it. Let me tell you how it really is. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, now I agree, but that's because you're aware of yourself. That's why I said it's awareness. You know what I mean? A lot of people haven't dug into it in that way or haven't explored their self, so they don't even realize why they're responding in certain type of ways. Because Vicky just said something like, sometimes you got to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way about what's going on right now? You know what I mean? Because I find myself like I'm in a good mood, and then a few moments later I may find my mind wandering and I'm feeling a certain type of way. So then I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And then it's because maybe I thought about a certain thing, you know what I mean, and it made me maybe, start thinking about something that's I don't want to think about. So now it's changed my mood. So you got to be aware of yourself and aware of your feelings. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I responding like this? So, but most people aren't aware of themselves, and some people honestly don't want to. They don't even try. You know what I mean? They like this the way I am, and that's what it is. They're not even trying to grow or trying to be better. You know what I mean? So that's on them. But when you're aware of your feelings and aware of different things, then you are capable of, healing and responding in the way that you want to respond instead of reacting, to those triggers. Because like you said, you give yourself that 3 seconds to think about it. Hold up. Like, like when the light turned green, you don't just speed off, because somebody might be running the red light. So sometimes you got to give yourself that 3 seconds, hold up. Before I pull off on their ass right quick, let me get them. Let me make sure I really heard what they trying to say, or make sure this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? So I agree with everything y'all said.
All right. So I want to go ahead and get to our next question, which is talking about creating a safe place in your relationship. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit of background about this particular topic, because I've been married. I've freely said on the show, I've been married for 25 going on 25 years this September. A lot of the mistakes that I made early in my relationship, now in the last 2 years, I've really dug in and learned about myself. I've really dug in and really got into trying to be the best version of myself that I possibly can be. And one of the things that I learned in this whole thing is about you also not only create a safe place for yourself, but when you're in a relationship, you have to create a safe place for your relationship. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? A safe place for the other person that is in your marriage. And I can honestly say there's been multiple times in the beginning of our marriage where I did not create that safe place. And I did not give that security to my wife. And it damaged, and it took time to heal and get everything straight. But I do think it is definitely something that we're not really taught. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents were married and had they had a little rocky relationship. But I mean, I still don't feel that, even now I haven't had a conversation like that to my kids. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people don't even think about that, or don't know about that, or don't which, especially, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, especially men in our culture, men in our culture, and I'm just talking about us, we don't talk about our relationships other than, hey, you got a girl? Yeah, okay, y'all together, everything good? Yeah, that's the end of that. You know what I'm saying? And there's no real conversation about, because, when we go to each other and we'll complain about each other, but we don't talk about creating that safe place for each other. And I just wanted to see if that's something that y'all experienced growing up, and then also how do you create a safe place in your relationship? We'll go with let's see, Lady T. We'll go with you first and see. Hey, is that something that your parents even talk to you about? You experienced? Do you feel that you had to learn from, or you feel that we as a culture are still growing to even understand what that is?
Yes, we are still growing because we don't communicate well and we don't communicate much. So my parents are still together almost 50 years, and they've had the I show you I'm here with this man and woman, and we talked about certain things but not real values. So what I think of a safe space in a relationship is more you're being heard, you're being valued, you're being seen. You can really trust that person has your emotional honesty and integrity in their in their hands, and you can trust them. Like, there is a safe space where you are being heard. They're really listening to you. They're not really judging you. They want you to know that you can put your vulnerability with them and they're going to respect it. Everything that we make mistakes, but you can be consistent and reliable on that person, because you know what? They'll come back and say, I'm so sorry. Or they'll know they messed up, might not say I'm sorry, but just say in a different way, I shouldn't have done it this way. Or, try to, it's about respect. It's about looking at that individual and saying, you respect my life and all that I bring to your life, and you are going to value me. And we have this safe space that we value one another. And that's what I think is a safe space in a relationship, where you put the worth of that person into your heart and say, they are just like me, and I respect me so much that I'm gonna respect them and love them and treat them with compassion and honesty and be open-hearted, and just, show that in all action, and respect it that you get it, and accept it that you're going to get it back too. If you don't get it back, there's a problem. That's not really a safe space relationship. You need to have that where you are, the two of you are doing it together. It's just not one-sided, because that's not really, that's just somebody just taking from you and not giving the same that you're giving back to them or giving to them. So I think I answered one of your questions. I'm sorry, but what was the other question?
I just said, is it something that you were taught? And then I said, well, how do you create that safe space for in your relationship?
Okay, well, I'll say one last thing. So I have had a problem. So I'm not in a marriage. I probably am the only one that's not married in this group, but I've had my marriages and I did not manage conflict very well. And so that's one thing that I feel like, creating a safe relationship, a safe space in your relationship, is being able to create some type of way where you can manage your conflict, where you're not yelling, you're not character attacking, you're not, putting each other down. Those things that we can do to hurt another in conflict, you have to, manage your conflict better. And for me, I've learned that is something that I've grown out of and grown into, that I am becoming more respectful to the individual when there's conflict, because we can get angry and say things out of our mouth that's really rude and wrong. And I am not exempt. I've done that. So though, that is what I feel like. If I want to have a relationship where I have a safe space in the relationship, I will always have to be cognizant of my mouth, how I treat them when there's conflict, where I be quiet, I don't say much. It's an internal thing to really want to be a better person. Honestly, you really have to want it. And for me, I do. I want it. I want to be a better person when I communicate with the loved ones in my relationship.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, Phoenix, what about you?
Okay, so I have Again, I have very older family. So there's marriage everywhere in my family. Very old church going folks. So you know it's marriage in there. Being that though, was I taught? No. And I've been married. I was with, we were together 18 years. I'm divorced now. The thing is, I'll go from my home. My mother was not married at first. When she had myself, my sister, and my brother. Then she got married and had three other children. Their marriage was not good. There was fighting, there was abuse, there was all types of stuff going on. The one thing that my mother always told us or showed us though, was to respect the man, respect him as a man. To a fault, you know, because she was not receiving the same respect. But that's what I've got. As a matter of fact, that's what I always got from all the relationships. All my aunts, uncles, it was always respect your husband, respect your husband, respect your husband. What they did not tell me was it was supposed to be reciprocated. And they didn't get reciprocation, though they are still married. My aunt to this day would have still been married if her husband did not pass away. Now, my uncle was a great man. He was great. But of course, nobody's perfect. He had his times, but he was a wonderful man. He treated my aunt like a princess, like a queen, you know. And then I have other aunts and uncles who uncles was a hoe. They were hoes. So, you know, it's just different things that I've had. Now, in my marriage, my parents' marriage, it was a lot of craziness. We got together when we were young. He was my first. I was 16, he was 17, and we were together. He was a hoe too. But because I loved him, I didn't disrespect him. Yeah, we fought. We argued. I said things, he said things, but we stayed together. It took a long time. And when you understand that there's no I there's no I, it's just us. It's supposed to be us. It has to be a us. You won't create a safe space for your person if you're just thinking about you. And you can't keep a safe space for that person if they're only thinking about themselves. So that's what happened in my marriage. I'm no longer with that person, but we do have a good co-parenting relationship because we have children, and no matter what happens between him and I, we're going to raise them properly. The relationship I am in now is completely different. Completely different. Because I'll say, you get older, you check yourself, you know right from wrong. If there's a problem between him and I don't even know, we may have argued or yelled at each other maybe once or twice, but we sit and have conversations. If I need to be corrected, and yes, we need to be corrected, women, sometimes, we be wrong as hell.
Hold on. Sorry, hold on. I gotta note this time to clip that. All right, go ahead.
We can be wrong, ladies, and a lot of times we are. And sometimes we need to be corrected. Not nobody with a belt, fellas. Correct us like we're your women, not your child. Okay? We are wrong. And the only person who really can tell you that for real, because they know you, is your man. You gotta listen. And you gotta look at him as somebody you love, not somebody coming to get you, because he's not your enemy, and she's not your enemy, fellas. This is how I do it now. He's not the problem. I'm not the problem. The problem is the problem. Once you tackle the problem, you can look at the other person and say, you know what? I was tripping. It wasn't that serious. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of the times it's blown up because there's underlying issues underneath that little problem. So once you start tackling them issues and start tackling them problems and look at your person as your partner, not your enemy, you can create safe space anywhere, everywhere together, because it's us against them or us against the problem, not the problem and me and you and the problem, and then we ready to fight. So that's how I said this is how we create our safe space. If I feel a certain way, I pause. I'm telling you, that pause is for real. You gotta pause. Because again, women go through a lot of things internally that we have no control over. None. We are constantly changing chemically, emotionally. And that changes our mental, that changes our physical, affects us spiritually. We are in constant change. And you guys don't get it because you don't have to do it. You guys change too, though. As you get older, things change. But we are changing from the moment we had, matter of fact, about a couple months before we had the first period, until we stop having the period, and we still changing in. From menstrual to menopause. This is our life. And so because we have this constant change and out of our control, we have to make a conscious effort. We have to be cognizant when we do things because we have to be in control. We can't allow those things to control us, and that's usually why we get into arguing with our men, because for real, we really mad because we want him to kiss and hug on us, but we got to act like he the problem because he ain't kissed and hugged on us. We got to have an attitude, because usually that's what it is. We just want attention, and we need attention from y'all. Y'all need to listen. We want and need y'all's attention. We do. Yep. We want y'all to look at us and just look at us. And even if somebody say, "What you looking at?" We like that. Don't pay us no mind half the time. We just really want you to hug us. We really want you to talk to us. We want you to listen when we talk. And don't block us out because you think we talking too much. Just say, "Baby, give me a second. Hold on, pause. Let me catch up on what you said because you're saying a lot, you know." Because we don't usually get the opportunity to talk because we always told we talk too much. Mm-hmm. So the way that him and I create space, we look at each other as each other because it's us. We're one. If you love me, you treat me like you love me because you love yourself. If I love you, I'm gonna treat you like I love you because I love me. If you look at the other person like you, it should never be a problem. Of course, you know, we're human. We're gonna do stupid stuff all the time. We're gonna say something dumb because we ain't got no sense all the time. But come back to it being us, and that safe space will never leave.
Okay. All right. Maddie Ace and Coach just joined us. I'm gonna see Maddie Ace. You got anything to add to what the ladies just said?
No, I get it. You know what I mean? You gotta love yourself, and like you said, love that other person for who they are, and you know what I mean, and know that most of the time it's not out of spite or anything. You know what I mean? We have our ways. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to know your partner's ways and know that, you know what I mean, ultimately, hopefully they have your best intentions in mind when they may be talking to you or bringing something to your attention. You know what I mean? And not take it personal.
Absolutely. Coach, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're good. We good. Did you have anything to add to that?
Nah, man. I think it's definitely good talk. I think that, you know what I'm saying, kind of understanding the whole problem and what the problem really is. I think oftentimes we do take things personal in relationships. And matter of fact, just today, me and my wife had a conversation about communication and just, you know what I'm saying, how to communicate. She literally looked me in my face, and after I had said 3 things and all 3 things were different, she was like, "That just doesn't make any sense." And we just recapped what I said. And it was kind of like, you know what? And I looked at it, I was like, you're actually right. Like, I'm just not communicating clearly right now. So, but this is what I mean. And just that kind of her kind of snapping that back at me was kind of just like a quick wake up of like, all right, make sure I'm articulating well enough and not just throwing words out there. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely believe communication about the problem and what the problem is and so forth is key. So.
And I like what you said too, Phoenix. Let the problem be the problem. Yes. You know what I mean?
I was going to go back into that. Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. Like, let the problem be the problem.
And a lot of times we make the person the problem instead of the problem. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of times sometimes and here's the one thing that I did want to that Phoenix did touch on and say, but I want to highlight is that it took me a long time to really realize that when I'm having that, now I blanked out. I'm sorry. I blanked out what I was getting ready to say. So I'm gonna move on because I knew I had it. Then I lost it.
That's actually called quick. Old age.
Brother. I got, you know.
It happened to me a couple times on the show. I had to But I wanted to say, gosh, it was something I wanted to say about.
know we
See,
all
same
did.
thing.
No,
Like
'cause
blank and
I
acting.
don't-
Back to back. Yeah.
It's gone. Dang.
Oh my God. It's
Don't
your
worry
fault.
about. Hey, we
Bobby.
got a couple reels. I think the reels are good. The reels I'm about to play, we actually touched a little bit on, especially the second reel that I'm going to show. But the first reel, I'm gonna get into the reels. Thank y'all for the conversation, everything. Y'all know I'm on a tight deadline, so I'm gonna get these reels in, and then we're gonna get out. I do want y'all to come. I would love to do this topic again. Actually, get and just have more conversation. I think it's something that we need to talk more about with each other as a culture. You know what I'm saying? Just to get more clarity on things, and just just to have the candid just to have the conversation. I think is good for everyone involved. So let me get ready and get these reels.
Okay, while you getting that
on them.
together, I remember
Okay, good.
communication wise, one thing to do, and it's for ladies and gentlemen. When you say something, ask them what they heard.
Mm.
Mhm.
What did you hear me say? Because a lot of times we misconstrue what we're hearing because of how we feel. So ask them, well, what did you hear me say? And then clarify. And that'll keep a lot of craziness out of the relationship. Go ahead. That's all I want to say.
All right. Well, here's the first clip.
You cannot be a daddy's girl and the wife to a husband. You cannot be a mama's boy and be the husband to a wife. If the devil knows he can't get you by sin or affairs, he will send a mother, a father, a mother-in-law, a father-in-law with good intentions to come in and take up place of the intimacy that you're supposed to have with your husband or your wife. Because if the enemy knows he can't get to me through sin, he's going to get to me by my wife calling her dad saying, this is what my husband doesn't do. If the devil knows he can't get to you because sin or through an affair, he's going to have your husband call his mama and say, she doesn't cook like you. She doesn't do the things like you do. I have to be so careful because intimacy is not created by rings and pictures at an altar on a wedding day. Intimacy is created through hard conversations. And if I give all the hard conversations to my friends and my family, I'm lacking intimacy and the ability to fight for things with my spouse. And many of us, I call daddy when I need help. You chose a husband though. I call my mama when I need something. You chose a wife, though.
All right, I saw Phoenix nodding her head a lot on that. So what'd you think about that one, Phoenix? Maybe that hit home, huh?
You run into a mama's boy, run. My ex-husband, to this day, I have to walk away from his mother, okay? I'm trying to tell you. And mom, but daddy's girls too. Horrible. Horrible. It's nothing wrong with being a daddy's girl in a way that daddy take care of you and loves on you and teaches you how a man's supposed to treat you. But once you get that husband, or before that, daddy is your father. This man is your daddy, okay? You better remember that. Fellas, that's your mom, that's your woman, okay? Mommy, you don't do the things with your woman that you do with your mother. Mommy got to stay home, okay? Yep. Y'all, again, it's important. Y'all got to let that go. If you're going to go off the Bible, it's to leave home and cleave to your wife. You leave home and cleave because that's your new family. Your mother and father and siblings are extended family now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Lady T.
I agree with everything that he said. Of course, we all want a balance in life. If you're a daddy's girl or a mama's boy, you have to balance it. But you can't go to your mama and tell her everything about what your wife do or what she's not doing. And the same for a man, like, a woman and going to her dad, like talking about her husband. You don't do that. You have to keep the intimacy with your spouse. And that intimacy is only with you two, not with everybody else, your mama or your daddy. really, you have to keep that separate. But people, you know, I think that people just love being comfortable with what they know. If you grew up and you are a mama's boy, a daddy's girl, like, you will always want to be that and not want to come out of that way, that character of life. And that's not really beneficial in your relationship or a marriage. You have to let those old ways go and become the person that, okay, if your mama or your daddy showed you a way, then show that you can be that person in your relationship with your spouse, and just say, I'm doing it because you taught me well, but I don't have to, you know, suck on your nipple all the damn time. So, you know, we need to know how to get off of it.
Look at his face.
And you have to get off of it. You gotta, yeah.
No, but you know, a lot of that is because they don't want to be accountable.
Mhm.
That's at the bottom. The bottom line is you don't want to be held accountable, so you go to your mom and your daddy because they're gonna baby you. Mom, forget that. Hang that phone up and come in here. We having this conversation.
You're right.
That?
Mhm.
Exactly, mom.
All right. So coach, I'll go to coach next. What did you think about that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you gotta leave your parents to be with your spouse, right? Like, either way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could take some of the great attributes that, I mean, most people look for the same attributes in their spouse as, you know what I'm saying, the respective parent. But it doesn't mean that the parent is part of the relationship. So you got to separate the two. So, because, you know what I mean, one day your mama not going to be there. You know what I'm saying? More than like your mama and your daddy going to be gone before your spouse in most cases. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of respect growing up and actually leaving them. And for some, it's hard, right? You know what I'm saying? Depending on whatever that family dynamic was growing up, man, it can be a little difficult. But if it doesn't happen, you know what I'm saying, it definitely will impede the relationship between you and your spouse. So,
all right. Maddie?
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? And then, and it's, you got to know that, but then also, like, if your parents, if they have a great relationship and they gonna let you know, you know what I mean, what you need to do, you know what I mean, and not come to us. They not gonna create a division, you know what I mean. Those the mamas who still trying to hold on to their son because maybe they don't have a relationship of their own or whatever, but you know what I mean, they're gonna let you know, they should let you know. But then going a whole different way, that's also protecting your safe place and protecting your relationship. You got to be careful who you bring in and who you go to and look for advice. You can't let everybody know what's going on in your household. You know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't have your best interests in mind. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thought on it. It's just protecting your safe space. Don't let everybody know what's going on in your household. Every time you and your mate have a disagreement or not seeing eye to eye, you don't need to run to somebody all the time about every little thing that's going on. Yeah.
All right, absolutely. All right, I got one more video, and then we get this in this great episode. But we definitely gonna have to rehash this again for sure. Here we go, and hold on. Oh, it's on. Well, I ain't said that. Hold on. Y'all hear it?
no.
No, I don't hear nothing either. What is the mic's on? Hold on. All right, let's try this. I'm gonna start it up. Pull it up again. Maybe something happened. Oh, that's crazy. This joint is not giving me any volume for some reason. I guess that's letting it go. I like this one too.
Do you remember what it was talking
that
about?
Wall Street Trapper? That's what it looked like.
So it's basically all right. So I mean, the basic of the video is just going into the fact that when you're in a relationship, you're both coming from two different worlds. And it's going to take having that real tough conversation, the conversation of learning about each other's world so you can understand it. You can't just go into a relationship and go in your vision of that person. You have to take the time to actually learn that person, study that person, understand that, and then that's how you can create a real safe place for that person, because I know what my wife's triggers are. My wife knows what my triggers are. You know what I'm saying? But then you also have to make sure that you keep that safe place for that person. Knowing a person's vulnerabilities and then using them against them is the worst thing that you can do in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that person's vulnerabilities and keeping them sacred is what you're supposed to be doing in a relationship. So, I mean, y'all can disagree with what I said. I'm really disappointed that didn't come out, because I wanted that. I like that video a lot. I wanted that one, but and plus, it's just something. So I'll say it. That was something that I definitely had to learn. And we talked about last week in our conversation, was that it's not only about it's important to know your own triggers, but it's also hugely important to protect the triggers in your relationship. You know what I'm saying? So, if you know that your woman has a problem with, or even for me, I have a problem with people leaving me, this, that, and the other. My wife has to go through more steps. When she's going out of town, she can't just leave this house. You know what I'm saying? Or else I'm going nuts while I'm here. She has to take more steps, because she knows that is my trigger. She knows that those are the things that, she has to know. She knows when she leaves, she has to give me a hug and kiss and everything. When she's out, when I call, she's got to answer the phone. Like, if you don't answer the phone, then I'm over here panicking or whatever case. And when she's come back, she's got to show me that same love. And that is just something working with my trigger. So, yeah, no, it's just more about creating a safe space for the other person. I don't know if anybody want to add anything to that. So.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? And I don't know. This is probably just going off subject. I'm grateful, because I'm not sure how I could learn, like somebody new, you know what I mean? Like, because, as you get older and you meet somebody new, everybody already got baggage, you know what I mean? I've grown to the person that I am, and me and my wife, grew together, you know what I mean? So we, like you said, the triggers, that person, but, when you get into a relationship later in life, you don't really, you don't really might not know the truth about that person. So it takes time to learn it. And I think people don't have the patience to learn their mate, you know what I mean? Especially when you just meeting somebody, or, getting into a serious relationship later in life. So you got to take some time to really make sure you know the person you getting involved with.
Okay. Ladies, y'all got anything you want to add in? Lady T, no?
I'll say for me, yes, I'm learning the person. It takes time. I'm learning all the history, taking the time, being intrigued in their life. And it is a journey, because I'm older and I have a lot of baggage in my history. So does he, right? And then I have to learn the baggage part, and I have to respect it and keep it where I'm not going to say anything about it. I don't have an opinion, but, I have to just be there and be kind and be, mindful of whatever it is that comes out of my mouth or the questions I may have. And it's something. That's all I can say, that being in a relationship or trying to learn a relationship early when you're older, it can be difficult. It is difficult. So I'll agree with you, Matty Ice.
I'm going to say it's difficult because we tend to be stuck in our ways, and we don't feel like it's worth the time to do that. But a relationship, especially a marriage, has intention. And in a marriage, that is the place where all those issues that you have are supposed to fall off. That's why it feels hard. Your wife or your husband is your mirror. So those things you try to hide, and those things you run from, and those things that hurt, they're going to make those things come out. And it's not that they're doing it on purpose. It's because that's your person. And your person is supposed to want the best for you. You can't be your best self if you're still dealing with that stuff. So if you're married or in a long-term relationship, the job of that is to help you heal from those things that hurt. to help you heal from those things that are stunting your growth. So that is what you're supposed to do in a marriage. And you heal together and you can go conquer anything. That's what's supposed to happen. So I like the fact, Rodney, that you brought up how you and Vicky work, because she's helping you deal with the abandonment issues that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because she doesn't just say, oh, you doing too much, but she says, okay, you know what? He need me to hug him a little tighter. Let me do that. He need me to call him, let me do that. And in doing that, that's helping that little boy in you, that teenager in you, that young man in you. Because eventually she's not gonna have to do that. Of course, you're gonna want your hugs and kisses and booty rubs, but it's not gonna be something that within you is like, oh, that's gonna eventually wane off, because your wife we're helpmeets for a reason.
Yeah.
You're our protectors for a reason. You carry the provision, we help you get there. And you can't get to that place without healing each other or assisting, because we can't do the work for each other. You got to do it yourself, but we're there to hold your hand. We're there to make sure you have what you need. We're there to make sure you're good. That's what a marriage is. And a long-term relationship is, we tend to forget that. That's why it's hard. It's supposed to be. Compromise is hard. Submission is hard. But that's what you're supposed to do. And that's why we don't have patience when you get older, because what the hell am I doing this for? You're doing it because you care. And because that person is actually you in a different form. That's what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Anybody got anything else?
No, I ain't relearning nobody at this age.
You're not relearning nobody.
That's what I said.
Yeah, heard. For real.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't do it either. I don't know. At this point, I'm
just being 1,000 with you.
Y'all got years in marriage, so understandable.
That's why I say you ain't going nowhere.
I'm still learning my wife, and my wife is still learning me.
Well, we change. You know what I'm saying? We change, like you said, constantly. But I want to thank you all for coming and joining us today and having this conversation. It was definitely a great conversation. Great show. And as you can see, if you want to see more Phoenix, you can catch her on the Morning Max show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Lady T, you can catch her from the Battle to the Glory podcast every Tuesday and Wednesday at 6:30. And you can definitely hear some of the great things that both of these ladies have said. I knew that when they came on here, this would be a great episode and a great show for everyone who was listening. You had the show on fire today, the comments on fire. Everybody enjoyed everything that was said, and I just want to thank you all again for coming and joining us. And next week I will be doing another show. It'll be a personal show about me, talking about the growth and the things that I'm going through, and even the battles that I'm still fighting from my growth. And I just want to have a candid conversation. Anybody's willing to join and just talk about it and work it out. But ladies, once again, thank you again for joining us. And it was another great episode. God bless. Good night.